Welcome back to the show. Seattle's Scott Jurek, the greatest endurance runner of his time, has come to Death Valley to make a statement. But with 85 miles to go, Scott is way behind, and he's about to face the worst night of his running career.
They say you run the first half with your legs and the second half with your heart and your mind.
As night descends on Death Valley, Seattle's Scott Jurek discovers his second win.
Once I hit that downhill, I just felt great, felt like I was on fire again.
He had to be doing a 6:30, 6:45 mile.
13 hours into the race, around mile 65, Scott passes Ferg to move into second place.
He was flying, and as he ran by, he just turned to me and said, "Free speed, Ferg, free speed."
It was, one of the things that I've kind of picked up from somebody is, downhills are free speed.
I turned to my pacer and said, "There's nothing free here, pal." And I think he found that out at the bottom.
It happens at mile 73.
Yeah, it was kind of like, Nightmare Part 2 kind of thing. 10 o'clock at night, it's 110 plus degrees, and it was hot. Just all of a sudden just zapped all that energy I had coming and momentum coming off the downhill, and it just totally fried me again.
We think he's got a little too much food in his stomach, so we're just processing it with water.
Ferg takes back second place. Leader Mike Sweeney is pulling way ahead.
How far back is Scott? Anybody know?
I was getting splits that he was, 10, 15, 18 minutes back, which I was shocked. So I knew something, was wrong.
It was definitely a point in the race where I was either going to turn things around or just really start to deteriorate even more.
As Scott talks his crew into letting him lie down for 5 minutes, Ferg catches Sweeney at the 85-mile mark.
And patted him on the back and told him what a gutsy effort and great job he had done, and he thanked me, and he didn't look really good. He looked pretty wore out.
Moments later, a medical team diagnoses Sweeney with pulmonary edema, fluid in the lungs, and pulls him from the race. For Scott Jurek, the nightmare continues. His body just wants to stop.
Everything seems to be crumbling apart.
Let's go, Scott. Not getting anywhere sitting down. Let's go.
Everything in the body is saying no except for something way deep inside, and it's finding where that is and accessing it.
An old friend, Dusty Olson, follows Scott back to the road.
Just trying to keep him motivated now. Little bits of truth. That sounds sweet.
I kept telling my crew, we haven't seen the last of him, trust me.
At 4:30 in the morning, 16 and a half hours into the race, with 45 miles to go, Ferg Hawk passes the Darwin checkpoint in first. But in the next 100 yards, Scott and Dusty appear out of the darkness to take back the lead.
I still have that competitive drive, and when push comes to shove, when I'm in a competitive race, I'm going to give it 110% and then some.
How did Scott get back into the race? It's a matter of mind over misery.
That's the whole idea with these races is, can you turn off the noise in your mind? And there's a lot of that noise saying, it's too far, it's too much pain.
Sunrise finds Scott and Dusty running past Owens Lake. Mount Whitney is in sight 20 miles away, and Ferg Hawk is more than an hour back.
It's your baby now, Jerker.
Dusty's just a great friend.
Let's go, man.
He makes it fun too. When we're working hard, he'll come up with just one of the corniest things to say.
Do it, Jerker. Your race, man. You own it.
Entering Lone Pine, Scott is on pace to beat the Badwater record by half an hour.
Yeah!
But the last 13 miles are murder.
I've run a lot of races, in a lot of places, and it was the most brutal finish I've ever experienced.
Yeah!
13 miles uphill, 5,000 feet of climbing. That's pretty incredible.
You're almost there! Dig in, man.
Ferg Hawk is in agony, every step stinging with pain.
I was done. I was out of gas. I think the feet were probably a part of that. They were pretty sore.
This is Scott Jurek's moment.
And you're now the champion of the 2005 Kiel's Badwater Ultramarathon in a course record of 24 hours, 36 minutes, and 8 seconds.
Man, that guy came back from the depths. Scared me for a couple of minutes, but it's cool.
That's a long way to run.
Ferg crosses the finish line 2 hours later. The 4th fastest time in Badwater history. Naturally, he gets a cold beer for his troubles.
There's the beer.
But yeah, incredible performance by you.
Thanks, Scott. I'm thrilled,
Yeah, it was I couldn't believe how fast you ran in that heat.
Ferg can't stand up. When he takes off his shoes, we see why.
The toes look really bad, but they didn't bother me at all. It's the balls of my feet that have some pretty big blisters underneath, and that's right what you're stepping on. That's what really hurt.
So you finished the race, 135 miles. There's no big check waiting for you. There's no national TV coverage. What's the payoff?
I think I've probably had the best tasting beer of anybody on this planet, or right up there anyway. You can't imagine how good that beer tastes at the end of 135 miles through Death Valley, so that's a payoff. But honestly, you do it for your own personal reasons. To push yourself through, that incredibly brutal race and to cross the finish line, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling of accomplishment.
Doctors eventually allow Mike Sweeney to continue the race. He comes in 12th. Former champion Pam Reed comes in 5th overall, winning the women's division. Believe it or not, she gets up the next morning to go for a run.
Coming up, they survived Badwater. But which one's crazy enough to run it again? The surprising answer when Evening Magazine returns with Badwater, world's toughest race.
Welcome back to the show. They ran 135 miles across the scorching heat of Death Valley and halfway up the tallest mountain in the lower 48. Now, nobody in their right mind would run Badwater again. Or would they?
I haven't ruled it out. And honestly, last year at this point, I was still saying there's no way I'll ever do it again. And already I'm thinking that it might not be a bad idea. I'll see.
I think it can be run faster. I think I could go back there sometime and run even faster. And yeah, that's what's kind of exciting. I thought this might be a one-time thing, kind of see what it was all about. But yeah, it's given me a little taste of Badwater, and I might be back. I heard this quote that God made the desert so that man could find his soul. There's something there, I guess, yet to be discovered that I want to find.
If you've ever thought about running in the desert or doing anything in the desert, make sure you bring plenty of water. Scott drank 21 gallons of water in that 24-hour run. That's 175 pounds of water. And believe it or not, he sweat it all out. Pretty unbelievable. On behalf of the Evening Magazine staff, I'm St. Brian. Thanks for watching.